A mysterious stray dog appears at St. Michael's Hospital every single day, and when the staff finally discovers the reason behind its unwavering dedication, their hearts shatter into pieces. Dr. Sarah Chen stands at the emergency room entrance, her eyes fixed on the scraggly brown mutt, sitting patiently by the sliding doors, its deep brown eyes holding a wisdom that seems almost human. For the past month, this dog has appeared precisely at 7 a.m., rain or shine. But today, something about its demeanor sends chills down her spine. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The morning sun barely peeks through Seattle's characteristic grey clouds as Dr. Chen approaches the hospital's entrance, her white coat billowing in the autumn breeze. The dog, whom the staff had started calling Shadow, sits in its usual spot, but today its posture is different. Instead of the usual quiet vigilance, Shadow paces anxiously, letting out soft whimpers that seem to carry a message of urgency. Nurse Michael Rodriguez, finishing his night shift, pauses beside Dr. Chen. "That dog knows something," he mutters, watching Shadow's unusual behavior. "I've worked with therapy animals for years, but I've never seen anything quite like this." The emergency room buzzes with its usual morning activity, ambulances arriving, shift changes in progress, families waiting anxiously for news of their loved ones. But Shadow's presence has become as much a part of the hospital's rhythm as the beeping monitors and squeaking gurney wheels. As Dr. Chen takes a step toward the entrance, Shadow does something unprecedented. The dog rises, its legs trembling slightly, and blocks her path, not with aggression, but with a gentle determination that stops the experienced surgeon in her tracks. Those soulful eyes lock with hers, communicating something that transcends the barrier between species. In 3 hours, Dr. Chen will understand the profound meaning behind this moment, but right now, all she knows is that this mysterious stray has chosen today to break its pattern of quiet observation. The story of how Shadow came to be at St. Michael's began in the depths of last winter, when Seattle faced its harshest storm in decades. The hospital staff first noticed the dog during a particularly brutal night, when the emergency room was overwhelmed with hypothermia cases and weather-related accidents. Shadow appeared like a phantom through the swirling snow, somehow managing to slip past security and make its way to the 4th floor, the oncology ward. Security footage would later show the dog navigating the hospital corridors with an almost supernatural sense of purpose, avoiding detection until reaching room 437. What happened in that room would later become hospital legend. But at the time, only night nurse Jessica Martinez witnessed the extraordinary scene that unfolded. The memory still brings tears to her eyes when she recounts it during coffee breaks. That night, 12-year-old Tommy Watson was fighting for his life, his body ravaged by an aggressive form of leukemia that had resisted traditional treatments. His single mother, Diana, had finally succumbed to exhaustion and dozed off in the uncomfortable hospital chair beside his bed. The monitors showed Tommy's vital signs weakening, his body losing the battle it had fought so bravely for months. Then Shadow appeared in the doorway, like a guardian angel in canine form. Without making a sound, the dog padded across the room and gently rested its head on Tommy's bed. Nurse Martinez, doing her rounds, froze in the doorway, torn between protocol and the inexplicable feeling that she was witnessing something sacred. The dog's presence seemed to fill the room with a peaceful energy that defied explanation. Tommy, who hadn't opened his eyes in days, stirred. His hand moved slightly, finding its way to Shadow's fur. The monitors, which had been showing increasingly concerning readings, began to stabilize. It was as if the dog's presence had somehow tethered Tommy to life itself, giving him strength when medical science had reached its limits. That night marked the beginning of Shadow's vigilant attendance at St. Michael's. Every morning, the dog would appear, somehow knowing exactly which patients needed its presence most. The hospital administration initially tried to remove the stray, citing health regulations and safety concerns. But something extraordinary happened. Patients who received visits from Shadow began showing remarkable improvements in their recovery processes. Dr. Chen, initially skeptical of the dog's impact, couldn't deny the data that began accumulating. Post-surgical patients reported lower pain levels after Shadow's visits. Children in the pediatric ward who had stopped responding to treatment found renewed strength. Even the hospital staff found comfort in the dog's steady presence during their most challenging shifts. The mystery of Shadow's origins deepened with each passing day. The dog wore no collar, bore no chip, and seemed to appear from nowhere. Local shelters had no record of a missing dog, matching Shadow's description. More puzzling still was the dog's incredible intuition. It somehow knew which patients were in the most critical condition, often appearing outside their rooms before. The staff themselves realized the situation was deteriorating. Animal behaviorist Dr. James Morrison, called in to observe Shadow, was baffled by the dog's conduct. "This isn't just learned behavior," he explained to the hospital board. "This dog shows levels of empathy and understanding that challenge our current knowledge of animal cognition. The way it anticipates medical emergencies, the way it connects with patients, it's unprecedented." The hospital staff began tracking Shadow's movements, documenting each visit, each interaction. Patterns emerged that defied explanation. The dog seemed to gravitate toward patients who had the least family support, as if knowing who needed its comfort most. Cancer patients, particularly children, received special attention. Shadow would sit with them during chemotherapy sessions, somehow knowing to remain perfectly still during the treatments. But it was Shadow's behavior with terminal patients that truly mystified everyone. The dog seemed to know, sometimes days in advance, when a patient was nearing their final moments. It would maintain a gentle vigil, providing comfort not only to the dying but to their grieving families as well. The hospice staff began calling Shadow their furry chaplain, acknowledging the dog's unique ability to bring peace to the most difficult moments. Today, however, is different. Shadow's usual calm demeanor has been replaced by an almost frantic energy. The dog's eyes keep darting toward the emergency room entrance, its body tense with anticipation. Dr. Chen, who has learned to trust Shadow's instincts, feels her own anxiety rising. In her 15 years of emergency medicine, she's learned that sometimes the most important signals come from the most unexpected sources. The morning light strengthens, casting long shadows across the hospital entrance. The air feels charged with anticipation, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. Shadow's behavior grows more insistent, pawing gently at Dr. Chen's scrubs, then moving toward the emergency room doors with clear purpose. The dog's message is clear. Something is coming, something that will challenge everything the hospital. Staff, thinks they know about love, loyalty, and the mysterious bonds between humans and animals. What unfolds in the next few hours will not only solve the mystery of Shadow's dedication, but will also remind everyone at St. Michael's Hospital that sometimes the most profound healing comes from sources we least expect. As the emergency room doors slide open, bringing with them the next chapter in this extraordinary story, one thing becomes clear. Shadow's unwavering vigil at the hospital is about to reveal its true purpose, and the revelation will leave no heart untouched. The emergency room doors slide open with a soft hiss, and the chaos that enters shatters the morning's tense anticipation. Paramedics rush in with a gurney, their voices urgent but controlled. Male, mid-30s, caught in a house fire while rescuing trapped residents, severe smoke inhalation, second-degree burns, possible internal injuries. Shadow's reaction is immediate and stunning. The dog races alongside the gurney, matching its pace perfectly, those brown eyes never leaving the patient's ash-covered face. Dr. Chen's breath catches in her throat as she recognizes the unconscious man on the stretcher. Even through the soot and breathing mask, she knows that face. Marcus Rivera, one of Seattle's most dedicated firefighters and a former Army combat medic. His reputation for saving lives at any cost is legendary among emergency responders. But it's Shadow's reaction that truly stops her heart. The dog's behavior has shifted from urgent warning to absolute devotion, as if Marcus isn't just another patient, but the very reason for Shadow's months-long vigil. The next hours unfold in a blur of medical procedures and revelations. As the trauma team works to stabilize Marcus, pieces of the morning's fire emerge through radio chatter and first responder reports. The apartment complex fire had seemed routine until Marcus discovered 3 children trapped in a back bedroom. After getting them to safety, he'd gone back in for their grandmother, who'd been unable to escape on her own. That's when the ceiling had collapsed. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Shadow refuses to leave the emergency room, maintaining a position that somehow manages to stay out of the medical team's way while keeping constant watch over Marcus. The dog's behavior triggers a memory in Nurse Rodriguez's mind. "Wait a minute," he says, pulling up old security footage on a computer terminal. "Look at this. The night Shadow first appeared at the hospital. The dog didn't just randomly show up. It followed an ambulance carrying victims from a different fire." The footage shows Shadow trailing the emergency vehicle through Seattle's winter streets, finally slipping into the hospital behind the paramedics. That night, the dog had made its way to the oncology ward, but not before briefly stopping at the emergency room, where a familiar face was working the late shift, Marcus Rivera, who occasionally volunteered as an emergency room medic when not on firefighter duty. Dr. Morrison, the animal behaviorist, arrives at the hospital after receiving an urgent call about Shadow's behavior. As he observes the dog's unwavering attention to Marcus, his professional detachment gives way to wonder. "In all my years studying animal behavior, I've never seen anything quite like this," he admits. "This level of dedication. It's as if Shadow has appointed itself as Marcus's guardian angel." Further investigation reveals more connections. Hospital records show that on multiple occasions, when Shadow had seemed particularly agitated, Marcus had been nearby, either bringing in fire victims or volunteering in the ER. The dog's seemingly miraculous ability to anticipate medical emergencies coincided with Marcus's presence in the hospital. But why? What connected this mysterious stray to the firefighter who now fought for his own life? The answer begins to emerge when Marcus's sister, Elena, arrives at the hospital. The moment she sees Shadow, she breaks down in tears. "Oh my God!" she whispers, kneeling beside the dog. "It's you, it's really you." Her words draw the attention of everyone nearby. Elena's hands shake as she pulls up a photo on her phone. A picture of a younger Marcus in his army medic uniform, kneeling beside a military working dog that bears a striking resemblance to Shadow. Her name was Scout, Elena explains, her voice thick with emotion. She was Marcus's partner in Afghanistan, a medical detection dog. They saved hundreds of lives together, finding wounded soldiers in impossible conditions. Scout could sense injuries and illness in ways that seemed miraculous. But during their last mission, she pauses, fighting back tears. There was an ambush. Scout took a bullet meant for Marcus, then still managed to lead him to 3 injured soldiers before. The rest remains unspoken, but everyone understands. The revelation stuns the hospital staff. Could Shadow be connected to Scout? The resemblance is uncanny, but military records confirm that Scout died in Afghanistan 5 years ago. Yet Shadow shares the same extraordinary medical intuition, the same unwavering dedication to service. Dr. Morrison shakes his head in amazement. "We know dogs can inherit complex behaviors through generations. Is it possible Shadow is Scout's offspring? Or is this something else entirely, a kind of spiritual succession?" As theories circulate, Marcus's condition suddenly deteriorates. His oxygen levels drop dramatically, and the cardiac monitor screams a warning. Shadow's reaction is immediate and astonishing. The dog begins barking in a specific pattern, 3 sharp barks, a pause, then 2 more. Elena gasps. "That's Scout's alert pattern. She would signal that way when she detected internal bleeding." Dr. Chen doesn't hesitate. "Get him to CT now." The scan confirms what Shadow somehow knew, a slowly developing pulmonary bleed, likely from the impact of falling debris during the fire. Without the early warning, it might have gone unnoticed until critical. As Marcus is rushed to emergency surgery, Shadow finally allows itself to be led away from the trauma bay, but only by Elena, and only after giving Dr. Chen a look that seems to say, "I trust you with him." In the surgical waiting room, Elena shares more of Marcus's story with the hospital staff. After losing Scout, Marcus had thrown himself into increasingly dangerous rescue work, as if trying to honor his fallen partner's sacrifice by saving as many lives as possible. He'd never gotten another dog, saying no animal could replace Scout. Instead, he dedicated himself to training other military and rescue dogs, helping forge the bonds between human and canine partners that he knew could save lives. The thing about Marcus, Elena explains, is that he believes every life has purpose, that every act of service creates ripples we might never fully understand. After Scout, he told me that sometimes love doesn't end with loss. It just finds new ways to express itself. Her words hang in the air, heavy with meaning, as everyone glances at Shadow, who maintains a steady vigil facing the operating room doors. The surgery stretches for hours, each moment marked by Shadow's unwavering attention to the operating room doors. The dog's presence draws other patients and families to the waiting room, and soon Elena finds herself surrounded by people sharing stories of how Shadow had touched their lives at the hospital. Parents of pediatric patients describe how the dog had given their children strength to endure difficult treatments. Elderly patients speak of the comfort found in Shadow's quiet companionship during lonely nights. A young nurse shares how Shadow had alerted her to a patient's declining condition before any monitors had detected a problem, saving the patient's life. Another tells of how the dog had helped a trauma victim find the courage to walk again. Each story adds another layer to the mystery of Shadow's mission at St. Michael's, weaving together a tapestry of hope, healing, and inexplicable connection. As the morning shifts to afternoon, Dr. Chen emerges from surgery, her face showing cautious optimism. The bleeding is controlled, he's stable, but the next 24 hours are crucial. She pauses, looking at Shadow with newfound respect. Without the early warning about the pulmonary bleed, well, let's just say we're all in this dog's debt. Shadow is finally allowed into recovery, where the dog takes up a position beside Marcus's bed that mirrors countless scenes from Afghanistan, a guardian watching over their partner. The parallel isn't lost on anyone. Whether Shadow is somehow connected to Scout or represents something else entirely, a kind of cosmic response to Marcus's unwavering dedication to saving lives, the dog's purpose has become clear. This isn't just about one patient or one connection. It's about the mysterious ways that love and loyalty echo through time, finding new forms but never truly ending. As the day shift changes to evening, the story of Shadow and Marcus spreads through the hospital like a flame of hope, igniting conversations about the bonds that connect all living beings and the mysterious ways that love continues to serve. Long after loss, the dog's unwavering vigil becomes a testament to something greater than medical science can explain, the power of devotion to transcend time, space, and even death itself. As night settles over St. Michael's Hospital, the quiet hours reveal new dimensions to Shadow's extraordinary story. The dog maintains its vigil by Marcus's bedside, but something about its behavior has shifted. Where there was urgency before, now there's a sense of purpose that extends beyond just one patient. Every hour, almost precisely on the hour, Shadow makes a brief round of the ICU, checking on other critical patients before returning to Marcus's side. Dr. Chen, pulling a double shift due to the day's events, notices something remarkable. Shadow's rounds aren't random. They're perfectly timed to coincide with subtle changes in patients' conditions that even the monitoring equipment hasn't detected yet. A slight elevation in heart rate here, a drop in oxygen saturation there. The dog somehow anticipates these changes minutes before they register on the machines. In room 5 to 12, elderly Mr. Thompson's heart monitor suddenly alerts. Before the nurses can reach him, Shadow is already there, having left Marcus's side moments earlier. The dog's presence has an almost immediate calming effect, and Mr. Thompson's readings stabilize. Dr. Chen orders an immediate ECG, trusting Shadow's warning. The test reveals a minor cardiac event that, left undetected, could have become critical. It's like having an early warning system with fur, Nurse Rodriguez comments, watching Shadow return to Marcus's room. But how does one dog know so much about so many different medical conditions? The answer begins to unfold when Elena returns from her brief trip home, carrying a worn military folder she'd found in Marcus's apartment. The folder contains Scout's complete military service record, and what it reveals leaves the hospital staff in awe. Scout hadn't been just any military working dog. She had been part of an experimental program that trained dogs to detect a wide range of medical conditions, from internal bleeding to early-stage cancers. The program had been so successful that it had expanded to include training dogs to anticipate seizures, detect blood sugar changes, and even identify post-traumatic stress responses. Marcus never talked much about the program, Elena explains, spreading photos across the nurse's station desk, but he wrote about it in his journals. Scout wasn't just detecting injuries on the battlefield. She was helping medics diagnose and monitor all kinds of conditions in the field hospitals. She could somehow sense when a patient's condition was about to deteriorate, often before any symptoms were visible. The parallels to Shadow's behavior are impossible to ignore. Dr. Morrison, who has remained at the hospital to observe Shadow, begins documenting the dog's interactions with different patients. It's as if Shadow has inherited not just Scout's medical detection abilities, but has somehow expanded upon them, he notes. The dog shows awareness of conditions that weren't even part of the military program. D. A young resident points out another pattern. Shadow seems particularly drawn to patients who are struggling emotionally, not just physically. The dog spends extra time with those who have little family support or who are showing signs of depression. In the pediatric ward, Shadow has an uncanny ability to identify children who are about to experience panic attacks, arriving to comfort them before the anxiety peaks. As midnight approaches, Marcus begins showing signs of consciousness. His vital signs strengthen, and his breathing becomes more regular. Shadow's attention immediately focuses solely on him, those intelligent eyes watching every slight movement. When Marcus finally opens his eyes, the first thing he sees is Shadow's face, and something in his expression changes. "Scout," he whispers, his voice hoarse from the breathing tube that had been removed hours earlier. Then, blinking to clear, his vision, "No, but—" His hand reaches out weakly and Shadow gently places its head under his palm. The touch seems to trigger something in Marcus's memory. "Wait, I know you." Elena leans forward eagerly as Marcus's memories slowly surface through the fog of medication and trauma. "The shelter. 6 months ago," he manages. "I was doing a fire safety inspection. There was this dog, pregnant, trapped under some fallen shelving." His voice trails off as the memory becomes clearer. "The mother didn't make it," he continues after a moment, his eyes never leaving Shadow. "But there was one puppy, looked just like Scout. I helped deliver it, stayed with it all night. The shelter was going to send it to a rescue group, but when I went back the next day, it was gone. I thought—" He stops, realization dawning in his eyes as he looks at Shadow. "It was you, wasn't it?" The dog's tail wags gently in response, and Dr. Morrison quickly pulls up Shadow's estimated age on his notes. "Timing matches perfectly," he confirms, "but that doesn't explain how Shadow found the hospital or why." Marcus's next words stop everyone in their tracks. "The night the mother died, I talked to that puppy for hours, told it all about Scout, about the lives she saved, about her gift for healing." His voice breaks slightly. "I said I wished there was another dog like her, one that could help people the way she did, one that could carry on her legacy of service." The implications of his words hang in the air. Could a dying mother's puppy, born in crisis and imprinted with stories of Scout's healing mission, somehow have taken on that purpose? The science-minded staff struggle with the concept, but they cannot deny the evidence of Shadow's extraordinary abilities. As if to confirm their thoughts, Shadow suddenly turns toward the pediatric ward. Seconds later, alarms sound from the room of young Lily Chen, no relation to Dr. Chen, a 7-year-old recovering from complicated surgery. The dog's warning gives the staff precious extra seconds to respond to a post-operative complication, potentially saving the girl's life. The night shift becomes a testament to Shadow's expanded mission. The dog moves between Marcus and other patients with precise timing, as if orchestrating a complex symphony of healing. Those who witness it begin to understand Shadow isn't just carrying on Scout's legacy. The dog has evolved it into something even more profound. Dr. Chen, recording her observations, notes how Shadow seems to integrate modern medical technology with instinctive healing abilities. The dog appears to understand the meaning of different monitor alarms, responding appropriately to various types of medical emergencies. Even more remarkably, Shadow shows an ability to prioritize, knowing exactly which patients need immediate attention and which situations can wait. It's like watching the future of medicine, Dr. Morrison comments, observing Shadow comfort a distressed patient while simultaneously alerting staff to another's declining oxygen levels. The perfect integration of instinct and science, of compassion and clinical care. As dawn approaches, Marcus is strong enough to share more of his story. He describes how losing Scout had nearly broken him, how he'd struggled with survivor's guilt and the weight of being unable to save his partner. But, Scout, she taught me that saving lives isn't just about the big heroic moments. Sometimes it's about being there, about noticing the small changes, about not giving up on anyone. These words take on new meaning as the staff realizes that Shadow has been doing exactly that, paying attention to the subtle signs, being present for both critical moments and quiet ones, giving hope to patients who might otherwise have given up. The dog's presence has transformed St. Michael's from a place of merely treating illness to a place of true healing. Elena, watching her brother interact with Shadow, sees something else too, healing of a different kind. The burden Marcus has carried since losing Scout seems lighter somehow, as if Shadow's appearance has helped him understand that his partner's spirit of service never really died. It just found a new form, a new way to continue the mission they both believed in. As the night shift gives way to morning, the story of Shadow's origin spreads through the hospital. But it's more than just a tale of extraordinary coincidence or mysterious purpose. It becomes a reminder that healing takes many forms, that love and dedication can echo through generations, and that sometimes the most powerful medicine comes with 4 paws and an unwavering heart. The following days at St. Michael's Hospital reveal the true scope of Shadow's impact, far beyond what anyone could have imagined. As Marcus regains his strength, Shadow establishes a remarkable new routine that transforms the entire hospital environment. The dog's influence extends into areas of healing that modern medicine often struggles to address. The invisible wounds of trauma, loneliness, and fear that no machine can detect. Dr. Sarah Chen begins documenting what she calls the Shadow effect, a measurable improvement in patient recovery rates that seems to radiate throughout the hospital. It starts in the ICU, where patients visited by Shadow show significantly better vital signs and faster recovery times. But the phenomenon doesn't stop there. The entire atmosphere of the hospital shifts as if Shadow's presence has awakened, something profound in both patients and staff. The breakthrough moment comes when Marcus, now able to sit up in bed, shares a revelation with Dr. Morrison. Scout had this ability, he explains, his voice growing stronger. She could somehow teach other dogs to recognize medical emergencies. In Afghanistan, she worked with local strays, showing them how to alert us to injured civilians. We never understood how she did it, but those dogs saved dozens of lives. This information sparks an idea. With Marcus's guidance, the hospital begins a groundbreaking program, bringing in therapy dogs to work alongside Shadow. The results are extraordinary. Shadow demonstrates an uncanny ability to train other dogs in medical detection, just as Scout had done. The hospital's therapy dog program evolves into something unprecedented. A network of four-legged healers who learn to recognize various medical conditions under Shadow's tutelage. One particularly moving case involves Sarah, a 12-year-old girl who hasn't spoken since surviving a car accident that claimed her parents' lives. Traditional therapy has made little progress, but when Shadow brings in Luna, a gentle golden retriever therapy dog, something remarkable happens. The two dogs work in tandem, Shadow detecting Sarah's physical pain levels, while Luna provides emotional comfort. Within weeks, Sarah speaks her first words in months. The success stories multiply. In the rehabilitation ward, Shadow trains a former racing greyhound named Bolt to detect impending seizures. In pediatrics, a tiny Cavalier King Charles Spaniel named Hope learns to identify anxiety attacks before they begin. Each dog seems to develop its own specialty under Shadow's guidance, creating a diverse team of canine healers. Marcus, watching this unfold from his recovery bed, begins to understand the larger purpose behind Shadow's appearance in his life. Scout didn't just save lives directly, he tells Elena one evening. She created a legacy of healing that could multiply and spread. Maybe that's what Shadow is doing here, not just helping patients, but building something that will continue to help people long after we're gone. The hospital administration, initially skeptical of the expanded program, can't argue with the results. Patient satisfaction scores soar. Recovery times decrease. The demand for transfers to St. Michael's grows as word spreads about their innovative approach to healing. Dr. Chen's research paper on the shadow effect attracts attention from medical institutions worldwide, but it's the individual stories that truly demonstrate the program's impact. There's Mr. Rodriguez, a veteran suffering from PTSD, who finds peace for the first time in years through his interactions with Shadow, and a German shepherd therapy dog named Warrior. There's little Emma, fighting leukemia, whose treatment becomes bearable thanks to daily visits from Hope, the spaniel who seems to know exactly when the chemotherapy side effects will be at their worst. The most profound change, however, occurs in Marcus himself. As he recovers, he begins spending time with the therapy dog teams, sharing his knowledge of canine medical detection. His experience with Scout and his understanding of Shadow's abilities prove invaluable in developing training protocols. The burden of losing Scout transforms into a mission to honor her legacy by helping create an army of healing hearts with fur. One morning, Dr. Chen arrives to find Marcus sitting in the hospital garden, surrounded by therapy dogs in training. Shadow lies at his feet, watching with what can only be described as pride as Marcus demonstrates how to recognize subtle changes in patient behavior. "You know," he says to Dr. Chen, "I used to think losing Scout was the end of something. Now, I realize it was just the beginning. The program's success leads to an unexpected development. Other hospitals begin requesting guidance in starting their own canine medical detection programs. Shadow's influence spreads beyond St. Michael's walls, creating a ripple effect of healing that touches countless lives. The dog who appeared mysteriously at the hospital doors has sparked a revolution in patient care. Dr. Morrison's research reveals something extraordinary about the dogs Shadow trains. Each one develops an almost supernatural ability to anticipate their assigned patient's needs. It's as if Shadow isn't just teaching medical detection skills, but imparting some deeper understanding of the human-animal bond. "These dogs aren't just detecting illness," he explains to the hospital board. "They're actually participating in the healing process in ways we're only beginning to understand." The impact extends to the hospital staff as well. Burnout rates decrease, job satisfaction improves. The presence of Shadow and the therapy dog team creates an environment where the emotional toll of medical work doesn't feel quite so heavy. Nurses report feeling more optimistic, doctors more connected to their patients. The entire culture of St. Michael's shifts toward a more holistic understanding of healing. Elena, watching her brother's transformation, begins documenting the stories of lives touched by Shadow and the therapy dog program. Her journal becomes a testament to the extraordinary power of animal-assisted healing. "It's not just about the medical miracles," she writes. "It's about the way these dogs restore hope, rebuild trust, and remind us of our connection to something greater than ourselves." As Marcus's discharge date approaches, the question of Shadow's future arises. The dog has become an integral part of St. Michael's, but the bond with Marcus is undeniable. The solution emerges organically. Marcus accepts a position as the hospital's first director of canine therapy programs, with Shadow as his partner in building and expanding their groundbreaking work. The story of Shadow and Marcus becomes more than just a tale of mysterious connection or unlikely healing. It evolves into a powerful reminder that loss, while painful, can give birth to something beautiful. Scout's death led to Shadow's mission, which in turn created a new paradigm of healing that would touch countless lives. 1 year after Shadow first appeared at St. Michael's, the hospital holds a ceremony to officially inaugurate its Center for Canine-Assisted Healing. As Marcus cuts the ribbon, with Shadow vigilant by his side, he shares a truth that resonates with everyone present. Sometimes the greatest acts of healing come from our deepest wounds. Every loss carries within it the seed of something new, something that can grow to help others in ways we never imagined possible. The gathered crowd, patients, families, staff, and a growing team of therapy dogs represents living proof of this philosophy. Shadow's legacy, built on the foundation of Scout's sacrifice, has grown into something that transcends the boundaries of traditional medicine. It's a testament to the enduring power of love, the mysterious ways that healing manifests, and the profound truth that sometimes our greatest purpose emerges from our deepest pain. The success of St. Michael's Canine-Assisted Healing Program brings unexpected challenges and opportunities that test the limits of Shadow's extraordinary abilities. As winter approaches Seattle again, marking a full year since Shadow's first appearance, The hospital faces its greatest crisis, one that will reveal the true depth of the dog's gift and transform the way we understand the connection between animals and healing. The crisis begins with a devastating multi-car pileup on the ice-slicked interstate. St. Michael's emergency department is overwhelmed with trauma cases, pushing the staff and facilities to their limits. Shadow, now officially part of the hospital's emergency response team, demonstrates an entirely new level of capability that leaves even Marcus amazed. The dog moves through the chaos with supernatural precision, triaging patients before the medical staff can reach them. Shadow's behavior becomes almost mathematical in its efficiency, spending exactly the right amount of time with each patient, somehow knowing who needs immediate attention and who can wait. But it's what happens next that truly astounds everyone. As the emergency room reaches capacity, Shadow begins exhibiting a new behavior. The dog starts gently but firmly guiding certain less critical patients towards specific areas of the waiting room. Dr. Chen, trusting Shadow's instincts, instructs her staff to pay attention to these groupings. What they discover revolutionizes their emergency response protocols. Shadow's not just triaging by medical severity, Dr. Morrison realizes, watching the patterns emerge. The dog is creating support clusters, grouping patients who can help each other cope with trauma and anxiety. It's a completely new approach to emergency room management. The evidence is undeniable. Patients grouped by Shadow show markedly lower stress levels, faster initial recovery times, and better overall outcomes. The dog has somehow understood that healing involves more than just treating physical injuries. It requires creating communities of support, even in the midst of crisis. Marcus, observing Shadow's work from his new office near the emergency department, recognizes something familiar. Scout used to do something similar in Afghanistan, he explains to Dr. Chen. She would guide injured soldiers to huddle together, somehow knowing which combinations of personalities would provide the best mutual support. We never understood how she did it, but it saved lives, not just from injuries but from the psychological trauma of combat. This revelation leads to a groundbreaking study at St. Michael's. Dr. Chen and Dr. Morrison begin documenting what they call Shadow's social healing protocol. They discover that the dog's grouping instincts take into account countless subtle factors: patients' emotional states, their capacity for empathy, their ability to give and receive support. It's a level of emotional intelligence that challenges our understanding of animal cognition. The success of this approach draws attention from disaster response organizations worldwide. Teams from emergency services, disaster relief agencies, and military medical units come to St. Michael's to learn from Shadow's example. The dog's innate understanding of human psychological needs in crisis situations becomes the foundation for a new approach to emergency medicine. But Shadow's influence extends beyond emergency response. The dog begins showing an extraordinary ability to match therapy dogs with specific departments and patient groups. Under Shadow's guidance, the hospital's canine therapy program evolves into a highly specialized network, with each dog developing unique skills suited to particular medical conditions and emotional needs. A remarkable example occurs in the oncology ward, where Shadow introduces a timid rescue dog named Phoenix to the children's cancer unit. Initially, the staff is skeptical. Phoenix seems too nervous for such a challenging environment. But Shadow works with the dog patiently, demonstrating techniques for comfort and support. Within weeks, Phoenix transforms into an invaluable presence in the ward, showing an uncanny ability to detect when children are about to experience treatment complications. The phenomenon spreads throughout the hospital. In the rehabilitation unit, a former service dog named Atlas learns from Shadow how to assist patients struggling with physical therapy. In the psychiatric ward, a gentle Great Dane named Luna develops an extraordinary capacity for calming patients during anxiety attacks. Each dog seems to absorb not just specific skills, but a deeper understanding of their healing mission. Dr. Morrison's research into this training phenomenon reveals something extraordinary. Shadow isn't just teaching tricks or responses. He explains during a presentation to the hospital board, the dog is somehow transmitting a comprehensive understanding of human physical and emotional needs. It's as if Shadow has created a new paradigm of interspecies healing. The impact on patient care becomes impossible to ignore. Recovery rates improve across all departments. Patient satisfaction scores reach unprecedented levels. The presence of Shadow and the specialized therapy dog team creates an environment where healing becomes a holistic process, addressing both physical and emotional needs simultaneously. Marcus, watching this evolution of his beloved Scout's legacy, begins to understand the deeper significance of Shadow's mission. Scout saved. Lives one at a time, he reflects during a staff meeting. Shadow is creating a sustainable system of healing that will continue to save lives for generations to come. The truth of this statement becomes clear when Shadow begins showing signs of wanting to travel to other hospitals. The dog's behavior becomes increasingly focused on training other therapy dogs to recognize and respond to medical emergencies. It's as if Shadow understands the importance of spreading this knowledge beyond St. Michael's walls. Elena, who has been documenting the program's development, notices something profound about the dogs Shadow trains. They're not just learning specific skills, she observes. They're inheriting a kind of wisdom, a deep understanding of human suffering and the power of compassionate presence. It's like Shadow is creating a lineage of healing. This observation leads to an unexpected breakthrough in the hospital's approach to patient care. The medical staff begins to incorporate lessons learned from Shadow's methods into their own practice. They start paying attention to the subtle emotional dynamics between patients, creating support networks that enhance recovery outcomes. The results are transformative. St. Michael's becomes known not just for its medical excellence, but for its unique approach to healing that combines cutting-edge medicine with deeply empathetic care. The hospital's model of integrating canine-assisted healing into mainstream medical practice becomes a template for healthcare institutions worldwide. As winter deepens into spring, Shadow's influence continues to grow in unexpected ways. The dog begins spending time in the hospital's medical research department, where scientists are studying the physiological effects of animal-assisted therapy. What they discover challenges conventional understanding of the healing process. Patients working with Shadow and the therapy dog team show measurable improvements in immune function, decreased inflammation markers, and enhanced neural plasticity. The presence of these specially trained dogs seems to activate healing mechanisms in the human body that traditional medicine struggles to access. Dr. Chen's research paper on these findings sends shockwaves through the medical community. What we're seeing isn't just complementary therapy. she explains to a conference of medical professionals. These dogs are actively participating in the healing process at a biological level. They're showing us aspects of human health and recovery that we never knew existed. Marcus, reflecting on the year's developments, realizes that Shadow has done more than just continue Scout's legacy. The dog has expanded it into something that transcends individual acts of healing. Scout showed me that one being's love could save lives, he tells Elena during a quiet moment in the hospital garden. Shadow has shown us that when we share that love, when we pass it on, it grows into something that can heal the world. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of one extraordinary dog. It evolves into a testament to the power of passing on wisdom, of transforming personal tragedy into universal healing, and of recognizing that sometimes the greatest medical breakthroughs come not from technology or technique, but from the simple, profound connection between living beings who share a mission to heal and comfort. Spring brings an unexpected challenge to St. Michael's Hospital that tests the full extent of Shadow's capabilities and reveals an even deeper layer to the dog's extraordinary mission. A rare viral outbreak in Seattle's homeless community threatens to overwhelm the city's medical system, and St. Michael's finds itself at the epicenter of the crisis. What unfolds in the coming weeks will demonstrate that Shadow's greatest gift isn't just healing, it's teaching humanity how to heal itself. The first signs of the crisis appear when Shadow begins showing unusual interest in the hospital's ventilation system. The dog repeatedly leads maintenance staff to specific air handling units, exhibiting signs of distress. Initially, the behavior puzzles everyone, until environmental testing reveals microscopic cracks in the filtration system, cracks that could have allowed the virus to spread throughout the hospital. Dr. Chen, who has learned to trust Shadow's instincts implicitly, orders immediate repairs and upgraded filtration protocols. Once again, she notes in her journal, Shadow has shown us that prevention is as crucial as treatment. The dog somehow understood the threat before our most sophisticated monitoring systems could detect it. But Shadow's response to the viral outbreak goes far beyond infrastructure warnings. As patients begin arriving, the dog implements a completely new protocol, one that will revolutionize how hospitals handle infectious disease crises. Working with the therapy dog team, Shadow creates a multi-layered response that combines medical detection with emotional support in ways never before seen. The first layer involves early detection. Shadow trains 3 specific therapy dogs, a Belgian Malinois named Vector, a Labrador named Pulse, and a German Shepherd named Sentinel, to identify infected patients before they become symptomatic. These dogs learn to detect subtle changes in body chemistry that indicate the early stages of viral infection, allowing for faster isolation and treatment. What's remarkable, Dr. Morrison observes, isn't just their accuracy in detection, but how they communicate their findings. Each dog has developed a distinct signal system, allowing them to indicate not just the presence of infection, but its severity and progression. They're giving us a level of early warning that no current medical technology can match. The second layer of Shadow's protocol addresses a critical challenge in infectious disease control: patient isolation. The emotional toll of quarantine can be devastating, often leading to depression and slower recovery times. Shadow introduces a revolutionary solution, working with a gentle Great Pyrenees named Haven to provide emotional support while maintaining safety protocols. Haven learns to interact with quarantined patients through glass barriers, developing an extraordinary ability to communicate comfort and presence without physical contact. The dog's calming influence helps reduce anxiety and depression among isolated patients, leading to markedly improved recovery rates. Other therapy dogs begin learning these techniques, creating a sustainable system for supporting patients during necessary isolation. But it's the third layer of Shadow's response that truly transforms the hospital's approach to crisis management. The dog begins organizing the therapy team into specialized units, each focused on different aspects of the outbreak response. Some dogs work with medical staff, helping them cope with the emotional strain of crisis care. Others focus on families in the waiting areas, providing comfort and helping maintain calm in high-stress situations. Marcus, watching this coordinated response unfold, recognizes something profound. Shadow isn't just solving immediate problems, he explains to the hospital administration. The dog is creating a comprehensive system for crisis response that combines medical efficiency with emotional intelligence. It's exactly what Scout used to do in combat hospitals, but on a scale we never imagined possible. The effectiveness of this approach becomes clear as St. Michael's maintains significantly better outcomes than other hospitals dealing with the outbreak. The combination of early detection, emotional support, and coordinated response helps contain the virus while maintaining the psychological well-being of both patients and staff. Dr. Chen's research team makes another stunning discovery during this period. Patients who interact with the therapy dog team show markedly higher immune responses and faster recovery rates. Something about the dog's presence seems to activate natural healing mechanisms in the human body, enhancing the effectiveness of medical treatments. This finding leads to a breakthrough in understanding the human-animal healing bond. Dr. Morrison's research reveals that the interactions between patients and therapy dogs create measurable changes in brain chemistry, improving immune function and reducing inflammation. These dogs aren't just providing comfort, he explains. They're actively participating in the healing process at a biological level. The crisis also reveals something unexpected about Shadow's teaching abilities. The dog begins showing signs of understanding human medical terminology, responding to specific medical terms, and seemingly helping other therapy dogs develop the same comprehension. This leads to more effective communication between the canine team and medical staff, creating an unprecedented level of cooperation between human and animal healers. Elena, documenting these developments, notices another remarkable pattern. Shadow isn't just teaching other dogs, she observes. The dog is teaching us how to be better healers. We're learning to pay attention to subtle signs, to understand the importance of presence, to recognize that healing involves more than just treating symptoms. This observation proves prophetic as medical staff begin incorporating lessons learned from Shadow into their own practice. Doctors and nurses start paying more attention to patients' emotional states, recognizing the connection between psychological well-being and physical recovery. The hospital's entire approach to patient care evolves, becoming more holistic and integrated. As the viral outbreak begins to subside, St. Michael's emerges not just as a success story in crisis management, but as a model for a new kind of healthcare. The hospital's integration of animal-assisted healing with traditional medicine creates a template that other institutions rush to emulate. Shadow's influence extends beyond the hospital walls as other medical facilities request guidance in developing their own therapy dog programs. The dog seems to understand the importance of sharing this knowledge, working tirelessly to train both dogs and handlers in the complex art of medical detection and emotional support. One particularly moving case involves a homeless shelter that had been heavily impacted by the virus. Shadow leads an initiative to train shelter dogs in basic medical detection, creating a sustainable early warning system for future outbreaks. This not only helps protect vulnerable populations, but gives abandoned dogs a chance to become valuable members of the healthcare community. Marcus, watching these developments, realizes that Shadow has taken Scout's legacy in an unexpected direction. Scout taught us about individual heroism, he reflects. Shadow is teaching us about collective healing, how we can work together, humans and animals, to create something greater than ourselves. The viral outbreak response becomes a turning point in St. Michael's history. The hospital's unique approach to crisis management, developed under Shadow's guidance, becomes a model studied by medical institutions worldwide. But more importantly, it demonstrates the extraordinary potential of combining human medical knowledge with animal intuition and empathy. As spring moves towards summer, Shadow's influence continues to grow in unexpected ways. The dog begins spending time in the hospital's medical education department, seemingly interested in how new doctors and nurses are trained. This leads to the development of a groundbreaking program that integrates animal-assisted healing into medical education, teaching future healthcare providers to understand and value the human-animal healing bond. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of crisis response or medical innovation. It evolves into a powerful reminder that true healing requires more than technical skill or advanced technology. It requires understanding, empathy, and the recognition that sometimes our greatest teachers come in unexpected forms, showing us ways of healing that we never knew existed. Summer brings an unexpected development to St. Michael's Hospital that reveals the ultimate purpose behind Shadow's extraordinary journey. As the hospital's innovative programs gain international recognition, Shadow begins exhibiting new behaviors that puzzle even Marcus. The dog starts spending hours in the hospital's research library, showing particular interest in medical journals and training manuals. What unfolds in the coming weeks will transform not just St. Michael's, but the entire field of medical education. The breakthrough begins when Dr. Chen notices Shadow repeatedly leading medical students to specific sections of their textbooks during rounds. At first, it seems random, until a pattern emerges. The dog is somehow identifying connections between different medical conditions that even experienced doctors hadn't recognized. Shadow's behavior leads to the discovery of subtle symptom patterns that help predict complications before they become critical. It's as if Shadow understands medical literature, Dr. Morrison observes, watching the dog guide a young resident through a particularly complex diagnosis. But more than that, the dog is teaching us to see relationships in medical knowledge that our specialized training sometimes causes us to miss. This observation catalyzes a revolutionary change in St. Michael's medical education program. The hospital begins integrating Shadow's holistic approach into its teaching methods, creating what becomes known as the Shadow Rounds. a new way of training medical professionals that combines traditional medical knowledge with intuitive understanding. During these rounds, Shadow works with medical students in an extraordinary way. The dog helps them develop what Dr. Chen calls medical intuition, the ability to notice subtle signs and connections that machines and tests might miss. Students who participate in Shadow rounds show remarkably improved diagnostic skills and better patient communication abilities. But Shadow's educational impact extends beyond medical students. The dog begins working with patients' families, teaching them to recognize early warning signs of complications and understand their loved ones' needs. This family education program becomes a crucial part of St. Michael's approach to patient care, empowering families to become active participants in the healing process. Marcus, watching Shadow's teaching work, recognizes something familiar. Scout used to do something similar with new medics in Afghanistan, he recalls. She would help them understand battlefield injuries in ways that went beyond their training. Now Shadow is taking that teaching ability to a whole new level. The impact of Shadow's educational initiatives becomes clear when St. Michael's hosts an international medical conference. Healthcare professionals from around the world witness the dog's extraordinary teaching abilities firsthand. What they see challenges traditional approaches to medical education and patient care. During one memorable session, Shadow demonstrates an uncanny ability to help medical professionals understand complex patient cases. The dog guides them through subtle diagnostic clues, teaching them to notice patterns and connections that conventional medical training might overlook. The results are stunning. Participants show significant improvement in their diagnostic accuracy and patient assessment skills. Dr. Morrison's research into this phenomenon reveals something remarkable. Shadow isn't just teaching specific skills, he explains to the conference attendees. The dog is helping us develop a more integrated understanding of health and healing. It's a combination of scientific knowledge and intuitive wisdom that could revolutionize how we practice medicine. The conference leads to an unexpected opportunity. A major medical school proposes incorporating Shadow's teaching methods into their curriculum. The dog's approach to medical education becomes the foundation for a new program that combines traditional medical training with what becomes known as intuitive medicine. But Shadow's greatest teaching moment comes through an unlikely student. A young janitor named Miguel, who has been quietly observing Shadow's work during his night shifts, shows an extraordinary ability to understand and apply the dog's lessons. Despite having no formal medical training, Miguel begins noticing patient symptoms and patterns that even experienced doctors sometimes miss. Dr. Chen, intrigued by Miguel's natural talent, creates a groundbreaking program that helps support staff develop their observational skills under Shadow's guidance. The program reveals that healing wisdom isn't limited to those with medical degrees. It can be cultivated in anyone with the patience to learn and the heart to care. As summer progresses, Shadow's teaching expands in unexpected directions. The dog begins working with terminally ill patients, helping them and their families navigate the emotional complexities of end-of-life care. This leads to the development of a new approach to palliative care that combines medical expertise with deep emotional support. Elena, documenting these developments, notices something profound about Shadow's teaching style. The dog isn't just transferring knowledge, she writes. Shadow is helping people reconnect with their innate ability to understand and respond to suffering. It's as if we're being reminded of something we've always known, but somehow forgot. This observation leads to a breakthrough in understanding the human capacity for healing. Dr. Chen's research reveals that Shadow's teaching methods activate neural pathways associated with empathy and intuitive understanding. The dog is literally helping rewire the human brain to better recognize and respond to signs of illness and distress. The impact on patient care is remarkable. Medical staff trained under Shadow's guidance show significantly better patient outcomes, not just in terms of physical recovery, but in overall well-being. They develop an ability to anticipate and prevent complications, recognize emotional distress, and provide more effective support. Marcus, reflecting on these developments, realizes that Shadow's mission goes beyond just continuing Scout's legacy. Scout showed us how animals could help humans heal, he tells Dr. Chen. Shadow is showing us how to become better healers ourselves. The dog is teaching us to combine our medical knowledge with the kind of intuitive understanding that animals naturally possess. As word of St. Michael's innovative program spreads, the hospital becomes a center for what the medical community begins calling integrative intuitive medicine. Healthcare professionals from around the world come to learn Shadow's methods, creating a network of practitioners who combine scientific expertise with deeper understanding of human healing. The transformation of St. Michael's extends beyond its medical programs. The entire culture of the hospital shifts, becoming more attuned to the subtle aspects of healing. Staff at all levels, from surgeons to cleaning crews, develop a heightened awareness of patient needs and a deeper understanding of their role in the healing process. One particularly moving example involves the hospital's response to a young trauma patient. The entire team, doctors, nurses, support staff and therapy dogs, works in seamless coordination, each contributing their unique perspective to the patient's care. The case becomes a model for how Shadow's teaching has transformed the hospital's approach to healing. As summer draws to a close, Shadow's educational legacy takes on new significance. The dog begins showing signs of wanting to extend these teaching methods to other hospitals. It's as if Shadow understands that the next phase of the mission involves spreading this wisdom beyond St. Michael's walls. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of one dog's extraordinary abilities. It evolves into a powerful reminder that true healing wisdom comes not just from books and training, but from the deep understanding that can develop when we open ourselves to learning from unexpected teachers. Shadow's greatest gift proves to be not just the ability to heal, but the ability to teach others how to become healers themselves. As autumn returns to Seattle, St. Michael's Hospital faces its most challenging test yet, one that will reveal the true depth of Shadow's mission and its profound impact on human understanding of healing. The catalyst comes in the form of a mysterious illness affecting children throughout the city, baffling medical experts with its unusual symptoms and rapid spread. What unfolds in response will demonstrate that Shadow's greatest contribution isn't just healing or teaching, it's showing humanity how to evolve its entire approach to healthcare. The crisis begins when Shadow starts exhibiting unprecedented behavior. The dog spends hours in the pediatric ward, moving from bed to bed with intense focus, seemingly mapping something invisible to human eyes. Dr. Chen, who has learned to trust Shadow's instincts without question, begins documenting every detail of the dog's movements. What emerges is astonishing. Shadow is creating a pattern that correlates exactly with the spread of the mysterious illness. It's not just tracking the disease, Dr. Morrison realizes, studying the data. Shadow is showing us how the illness moves through social networks, how it adapts to different environments, how it affects different age groups differently. The dog is giving us a three-dimensional model of disease progression that our most advanced computers couldn't generate. This revelation leads to a breakthrough in understanding the illness. By following Shadow's guidance, the medical team discovers that the disease spreads not just through traditional transmission routes, but through a complex interaction of environmental and social factors. The dog's intuitive understanding of these patterns helps the hospital develop an effective containment strategy, long before other medical centers even understand what they're facing. But Shadow's response to the crisis goes far beyond disease. Tracking. The dog begins implementing a completely new approach to pediatric care that challenges traditional medical models. Working with the therapy dog team, Shadow creates what becomes known as the healing circles, a revolutionary method of organizing patient care that considers not just physical symptoms, but emotional, social, and environmental factors. The first healing circle forms almost spontaneously. Shadow guides several young patients to gather in the hospital's indoor garden, positioning them in a specific arrangement. The therapy dogs join them, each taking a particular position. What happens next astonishes the observing medical staff. The children's vital signs begin synchronizing, their stress levels decrease, and their immune responses strengthen. It's like Shadow understands something about group healing that we're only beginning to grasp, Dr. Chen observes. The dog is showing us that healing isn't just an individual process. It's something that can be enhanced through carefully structured social connections. Marcus, watching these developments, recognizes something profound. This goes beyond anything Scout and I ever saw in combat medicine, he tells Elena. Shadow isn't just helping individual patients. The dog is teaching us how to create healing, environments that multiply the effectiveness of every intervention. The success of the healing circles leads to a complete redesign of St. Michael's pediatric ward. Instead of isolating sick children in separate rooms, the hospital creates specially designed healing spaces where patients can support each other's recovery under the guidance of Shadow and the therapy dog team. The results are remarkable. Recovery rates improve dramatically, and the emotional trauma of hospitalization decreases significantly. But Shadow's innovation doesn't stop there. The dog begins showing unusual interest in the hospital's research laboratory, particularly during analysis of patient samples. After several days of observation, Dr. Morrison makes an incredible discovery. Shadow can detect subtle patterns in blood samples that indicate how individual patients will respond to different treatments. This ability leads to the development of what the medical team calls personalized response profiling, a new approach to treatment that considers each patient's unique biological and emotional characteristics. Shadow helps train other therapy dogs to recognize these patterns, creating a natural early warning system for adverse reactions and treatment complications. The impact of these innovations extends far beyond the current crisis. Other hospitals begin adopting St. Michael's methods, creating their own versions of healing circles and integrating therapy dogs into their diagnostic processes. Shadow's approach to healthcare becomes a model for a new kind of medicine that bridges the gap between scientific knowledge and natural healing wisdom. Elena, documenting these developments, notices something extraordinary about the children in Shadow's care. They're not just getting better physically, she writes. They're developing a deeper understanding of their own healing process. It's as if Shadow is teaching them to become active participants in their recovery. This observation leads to another breakthrough. The hospital develops a program that helps young patients understand and contribute to their own healing process. Under Shadow's guidance, children learn to recognize their body's signals, understand the importance of emotional well-being, and develop resilience in the face of illness. The program proves particularly effective with chronic illness patients. Children who have struggled with long-term conditions begin showing remarkable improvements when they participate in Shadow's healing circles. Their families report that the children develop new confidence in managing their conditions and a more positive outlook on their health challenges. Dr. Chen's research into these outcomes reveals something unexpected. The children in Shadow's program aren't just learning to cope with illness, she explains to the hospital board. They're developing a kind of health intelligence that combines cognitive understanding with intuitive awareness. They're becoming their own best advocates in the healing process. As autumn deepens, Shadow's influence continues to expand in unexpected ways. The dog begins showing particular interest in the hospital's preventive medicine programs, leading to the development of new approaches to health maintenance and disease prevention. The therapy dog team learns to recognize early warning signs of health issues, helping catch potential problems before they become serious. One particularly moving case involves a group of teenagers with chronic autoimmune conditions. Under Shadow's guidance, they form a special healing circle that combines peer support with medical monitoring. The results are unprecedented. Not only do their conditions stabilize, but they develop a deep understanding of their own healing processes that will serve them throughout their lives. Marcus, watching these young patients transform from passive recipients of care to active participants in their own healing, realizes that Shadow's mission has evolved far beyond anything he could have imagined. Scout taught us about the power of the human-animal bond, he reflects. Shadow is teaching us how to reimagine the entire relationship between healers and those who need healing. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of innovative medical practices or successful crisis response. It evolves into a powerful demonstration of how combining scientific knowledge with natural wisdom can transform our understanding of healing. Shadow's legacy isn't just in the lives saved or the suffering eased, it's in showing us that true healing requires engaging all our resources, both technological and intuitive. As the mysterious illness finally begins to recede, St. Michael's emerges not just as a center of medical excellence, but as a beacon of hope for a new kind of healthcare. Shadow's methods prove that healing is most effective when it considers the whole person, body, mind, and spirit, and when it empowers patients to participate actively in their own recovery. The autumn light slants through the hospital windows, casting long shadows in the corridors where a remarkable dog continues to teach humanity about the deeper meanings of healing. In those quiet moments between emergencies and innovations, Shadow's presence reminds everyone at St. Michael's that sometimes the greatest medical breakthroughs come not from laboratories or technology, but from opening our hearts to lessons taught by the most unexpected teachers. Winter arrives early in Seattle, bringing with it a revelation that will illuminate the deepest purpose behind Shadow's extraordinary mission at St. Michael's Hospital. As the first snowflakes begin to fall, Shadow's behavior changes in a way that puzzles even those who know the dog best. The mysterious shifts in the dog's routine signal the beginning of what will become the most profound chapter in this remarkable story of healing and transformation. Late one evening, Shadow leads Dr. Chen to the hospital's forgotten archives, a basement room filled with decades of medical records and case studies. The dog's insistence on examining specific files leads to an astonishing discovery. A series of documented cases from 50 years ago describing a similar healing dog that had appeared at the hospital during another crisis. The historical records tell the story of Hope, a mysterious white shepherd that had arrived at St. Michael's during the polio epidemic of the 1950s. Like Shadow, Hope had demonstrated extraordinary abilities to detect illness and guide treatment. The dog had helped develop new rehabilitation techniques for polio patients, many of which became standard practice in physical therapy. Dr. Morrison, diving deep into the archives, uncovers something even more remarkable. The methods Hope developed, he explains to an astounded medical team, are almost identical to the foundational principles of Shadow's healing circles. It's as if there's been a continuous thread of healing wisdom being passed down through generations of dogs, each one appearing when humanity needs their guidance most. This revelation leads to a broader investigation that uncovers similar stories from hospitals around the world. Accounts of extraordinary dogs appearing during times of medical crisis, each contributing unique insights to the development of healthcare. The pattern suggests something larger than individual cases of animal intuition. It points to an organized transmission of healing wisdom that spans generations. Shadow's behavior suggests awareness of this larger pattern. The dog begins creating what the staff calls wisdom maps, intricate patterns of movement and interaction that seem to encode complex medical knowledge. Working with the therapy dog team, Shadow demonstrates techniques that combine ancient, healing wisdom with modern medical understanding in ways that transform patient care. One dramatic example unfolds in the oncology ward, where Shadow introduces a new approach to pain management. The dog guides patients through specific movements and breathing patterns, synchronized with the presence of therapy dogs positioned in precise locations. The result is a remarkable reduction in pain levels and improved treatment tolerance, achieved without increasing medication. It's as if Shadow is teaching us to access natural healing mechanisms we didn't know existed, Dr. Chen observes. The dog is showing us how to bridge the gap between instinctive wisdom and medical science. This integration of approaches leads to breakthrough treatments that combine traditional medicine with what becomes known as intuitive healing protocols. Marcus, studying the historical records of healing dogs, recognizes a pattern that connects back to Scout. These dogs aren't just random occurrences, he realizes. They're part of a lineage of healers, each building on the wisdom of those who came before. Scout wasn't just a military working dog. She was part of this larger mission to guide human understanding of healing. This understanding leads to the establishment of the Canine Wisdom Initiative at St. Michael's, a groundbreaking program that documents and preserves the healing knowledge demonstrated by Shadow and other therapy dogs. The program becomes a repository of both scientific data and observed wisdom, creating a bridge between empirical research and intuitive healing practices. The impact of this integration becomes clear when St. Michael's faces a challenging case. A young patient named Sophie, suffering from a rare autoimmune condition that has resisted all conventional treatments. Shadow orchestrates a unique healing approach that combines modern medical protocols with ancient wisdom techniques. Demonstrated by Hope decades earlier, Sophie's recovery becomes a testament to the power of integrated healing. The combination of traditional treatment, Shadow's intuitive protocols, and the historical wisdom preserved from Hope's era leads to a breakthrough in understanding autoimmune conditions. The case becomes a model for treating complex medical conditions through multiple healing modalities. Elena, documenting these developments, notices something profound about Shadow's teaching methods. The dog isn't just sharing knowledge, she writes. Shadow is showing us how to access a kind of universal healing wisdom that transcends time and species. It's as if we're being reminded of something humanity once knew but had forgotten. This observation catalyzes a transformation in medical education at St. Michael's. The hospital develops a curriculum that combines traditional medical training with what they call wisdom studies, courses that teach healthcare providers to integrate scientific knowledge with intuitive understanding and historical healing. Wisdom. The program proves revolutionary. Medical students trained in this integrated approach show remarkable improvements in their diagnostic abilities and patient care skills. They develop what Dr. Morrison calls healing intuition, the ability to combine clinical knowledge with a deeper understanding of the healing process. Shadow's influence extends beyond medical training into research methodology. The dog begins showing interest in the hospital's research laboratories, demonstrating ways to integrate objective measurement with subjective observation. This leads to new research protocols that consider both quantitative data and qualitative healing factors. A breakthrough moment comes when Shadow guides researchers to combine traditional medical imaging with mapping of patients' emotional and energetic states. This integrated approach reveals patterns of illness and healing that neither method could detect alone, leading to more effective and personalized treatment strategies. The winter deepens, and Shadow's behavior suggests another layer of purpose. The dog begins creating connections between different departments of the hospital, showing how various medical specialties can work together more effectively. This leads to the development of what becomes known as integrated healing teams, collaborative groups that combine different medical disciplines with therapy dog support. These teams prove particularly effective in complex cases that don't respond to conventional treatment. By combining multiple healing approaches under Shadow's guidance, they achieve remarkable results with patients who had previously shown little improvement. The success of this model leads other hospitals to adopt similar integrated approaches. Marcus, watching these developments, understands that Shadow's mission goes beyond teaching specific healing techniques. The dog is showing us how to evolve our entire understanding of health and healing, he explains to visiting medical professionals. It's not just about combining different methods. It's about recognizing the fundamental unity of all healing wisdom. As winter settles over Seattle, Shadow's presence at St. Michael's takes on new significance. The dog becomes not just a healer and teacher, but a bridge between past and future, between instinct and science, between ancient wisdom and modern medicine. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's evolves into a powerful reminder that true healing wisdom is timeless, passed down through unexpected messengers who appear exactly when humanity needs them most. The snow falls softly outside the hospital windows, and in the quiet evening hours, Shadow continues the ancient work of teaching humans to become better healers. The dog's legacy grows not just through the lives saved and the suffering eased, but through the transformation of an entire institution's understanding of what healing truly means. As winter gives way to early spring, St. Michael's Hospital witnesses the most profound phase of Shadow's mission, one that reveals the ultimate purpose behind the dog's extraordinary journey. The transformation begins when Shadow starts, exhibiting behavior that suggests preparation for something momentous. The dog begins gathering all the therapy dogs trained over the past year, creating what will become known as the Legacy Circle, a living embodiment of healing wisdom that will continue long after Shadow's work is complete. The first sign of this new phase appears during a seemingly routine morning. Shadow leads the entire therapy dog team to the hospital's central courtyard, arranging them in a complex pattern that Dr. Morrison immediately recognizes as significant. It's not random, he explains to Dr. Chen, watching the scene unfold. Shadow is creating a living model of how healing knowledge should flow through a medical institution. Each dog's position represents a different aspect of the healing process. This demonstration becomes the foundation for what St. Michael's calls the Perpetual Healing Protocol, a comprehensive system for maintaining and transmitting healing wisdom through generations of therapy dogs. Shadow spends intensive sessions with each dog, seemingly transferring knowledge that combines medical detection, emotional support, and the ancient healing wisdom rediscovered in the hospital archives. The impact becomes clear when a critical case arrives, a young trauma victim named Jamie, whose injuries baffle conventional medical approaches. Without Shadow's direct intervention, the therapy dog team works in perfect coordination, each member contributing specific elements of healing knowledge they've learned. The result is a breakthrough in trauma care that combines immediate medical response with long-term healing support. Dr. Chen, documenting this evolution, realizes something profound. Shadow isn't just training individual dogs, she notes in her research journal. The dog is creating a self-sustaining system of healing wisdom that can adapt and grow over time. It's as if Shadow understood from the beginning that the mission wasn't just about immediate healing, but about ensuring this knowledge would continue to serve humanity. The therapy dogs begin showing remarkable independence, each developing specialized skills while maintaining the ability to work as a coordinated team. Vector excels at early disease detection, while Haven demonstrates extraordinary skill in emotional healing. Luna develops an uncanny ability to work with critical care patients, and Atlas shows particular talent for rehabilitation support. Marcus, watching this development, understands that Shadow is completing the circle that began with Scout. This isn't just about passing on techniques, he explains to Elena. Shadow is ensuring that Scout's legacy of healing will continue through multiple generations of therapy dogs. Each one will add its own wisdom to the knowledge base, creating an ever-evolving understanding of healing. The legacy circle's effectiveness becomes evident during a complex mass casualty incident. Without direct guidance from Shadow, the therapy dog team coordinates perfectly with medical staff, each dog knowing exactly where to be and what to do. Their integrated response helps the hospital handle the crisis with unprecedented efficiency, saving lives that might otherwise have been lost. But Shadow's preparation goes beyond training other dogs. The dog begins spending time with medical students, creating what becomes known as the intuitive medicine program. This revolutionary approach to medical education combines traditional clinical training with the development of healing intuition, teaching future doctors to balance scientific knowledge with natural wisdom. Dr. Morrison's research into this educational model reveals something extraordinary. Students who work with Shadow and the therapy team develop a kind of medical sixth sense, he reports. They learn to recognize subtle signs of illness or recovery that most doctors miss. It's as if they're tapping into the same intuitive understanding that guides these remarkable dogs. The program expands to include all levels of hospital staff. Nurses, technicians, and even administrative personnel learn to recognize and respond to subtle indicators of patient needs. The entire hospital begins functioning as an integrated healing environment, with every member of the staff contributing to the healing process in their own way. Shadow's influence extends into the hospital's design itself. The dog begins indicating specific changes needed in different departments, adjustments to lighting, sound, and spatial arrangement that research proves optimize healing conditions. These modifications become the blueprint for a new approach to hospital design that considers both physical and energetic aspects of healing environments. Elena, continuing her documentation, notices something remarkable about Shadow's interactions with patients. The dog isn't just helping them heal physically, she writes. Shadow is teaching them to understand their own healing process, to recognize their body's signals, to participate actively in their recovery. It's as if each patient becomes part of the legacy circle in their own way. This observation leads to the development of the Patient Wisdom Program, where recovered patients share their insights and experiences with others facing similar challenges. The program creates a network of support and understanding that extends far beyond the hospital walls, touching lives throughout the community. As spring approaches, Shadow's behavior suggests the completion of a mission. The dog spends more time observing than directing, watching as the systems and protocols put in place continue to function smoothly. The therapy dog team operates with confident independence. The medical staff integrates intuitive healing with clinical practice, and patients actively engage in their own recovery processes. Marcus recognizes the significance of these changes. Shadow has created something that will outlast any individual, dog or human, he tells Dr. Chen. This is what Scout's sacrifice was leading to all along, not just healing individuals, but transforming how we understand and practice healing itself. The transformation of St. Michael's becomes a model for healthcare institutions worldwide. The integration of animal-assisted healing, intuitive medicine, and traditional medical practice creates a new paradigm that consistently produces better outcomes. Hospitals around the world begin adopting elements of the legacy circle approach, creating their own therapy dog programs based on Shadow's teachings. Dr. Chen's final research paper on the shadow protocol becomes a foundational text in medical schools, introducing new generations of healthcare providers to this integrated approach to healing. The paper documents not just the medical outcomes, but the profound shift in understanding that shadow's presence catalyzed. As the last traces of winter fade, Shadow's demeanor suggests a sense of completion. The dog spends more time in quiet observation, watching as the legacy circle continues its work with increasing confidence and skill. The medical staff, therapy dog team, and patients all function as part of an integrated healing community, exactly as Shadow had envisioned. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of one remarkable dog's healing mission. It evolves into a testament to the enduring power of wisdom passed down through generations, the importance of balancing scientific knowledge with natural healing instincts, and the profound truth that sometimes the greatest teachers appear in unexpected forms, showing us ways of healing that we never knew existed but somehow always understood. Spring brings a bittersweet revelation to St. Michael's Hospital as Shadow's ultimate purpose becomes clear in an unexpected way. The dog's behavior shifts subtly, suggesting not an ending, but a transition to something even more profound. What unfolds in these crucial days will reveal that Shadow's greatest gift isn't just the healing systems established, but the awakening of a deeper understanding of life, loss, and the eternal nature of love's mission to heal. The transformation begins during a quiet morning when Shadow leads Marcus to Scout's old military tags, carefully preserved in his office. The dog's gentle insistence on examining them triggers a memory in Marcus. Scout's final moments in Afghanistan, when she had looked at him with eyes full of promise rather than goodbye. Now watching Shadow with those tags, Marcus understands something that changes everything. She knew, he tells Dr. Chen, his voice thick with emotion. Scout knew she wasn't really leaving. She knew her mission would continue in a new form. Shadow isn't just carrying on her work. Shadow is the embodiment of her promise to never stop healing. This revelation ripples through the hospital, adding new meaning to everything Shadow has accomplished. Dr. Morrison's research takes an extraordinary turn when he discovers a pattern in Shadow's genetic markers that defies explanation. There's something here we can't quantify with our current science, he explains to the medical board. The DNA shows markers that suggest a kind of evolutionary leap, as if Shadow represents a new stage in the development of healing abilities. In canines, this discovery leads to the establishment of the Interspecies Healing Research Center at St. Michael's, dedicated to understanding and fostering the profound connection between human and animal healing wisdom. Shadow begins working with researchers in a new way, demonstrating how this connection can be strengthened and developed in both species. The breakthrough comes when Shadow introduces what becomes known as the resonance protocol, a method of healing that involves the synchronized energy of humans and therapy dogs working in perfect harmony. The results challenge everything known about the healing process, showing how the combination of human intention and animal intuition can accelerate recovery in ways previously thought impossible. One remarkable case involves a comatose patient named Sarah, unresponsive for months following a severe accident. Under Shadow's guidance, a team of doctors and therapy dogs creates a healing circle around her bed, each participant contributing a specific frequency of energy and presence. To everyone's amazement, Sarah begins showing signs of consciousness, her brain activity synchronizing with the unified field created by the human-animal healing team. The implications of this success extend far beyond St. Michael's. Medical institutions worldwide begin studying the resonance protocol, discovering that the principles Shadow demonstrated can be replicated and adapted to various healing situations. The dog's influence transforms not just how medicine is practiced, but how humans understand their relationship with the animal kingdom. Elena, documenting these developments, notices something profound about Shadow's latest teachings. The dog isn't just showing us how to heal bodies, she writes. Shadow is teaching us about the interconnectedness of all life, about how healing happens at a level deeper than physical medicine can reach. It's as if we're being shown a map of consciousness itself. This understanding leads to the development of what St. Michael's calls conscious healing, an approach that considers the spiritual and energetic dimensions of recovery alongside physical treatment. Shadow demonstrates how this integration can be achieved without compromising medical rigor, creating protocols that bridge the gap between science and soul. Marcus, watching these developments, realizes that Shadow's mission goes beyond even Scout's original purpose. Scout showed us how animals could help humans heal, he reflects. Shadow is showing us that healing is a universal language, spoken by all living beings. We just needed to remember how to listen. The impact of this philosophy becomes clear when St. Michael's faces its most challenging case yet. A group of children traumatized by a school tragedy. Shadow orchestrates a healing response that involves not just medical treatment, but a profound restoration of their trust in life itself. The therapy dog team works in shifts, each dog contributing to a continuous field of healing presence that helps the children rediscover joy and safety. Dr. Chen's research into this case reveals something extraordinary about Shadow's methods. The dog isn't just treating trauma, she explains. Shadow is showing us how to restore the fundamental connection between individuals and the web of life itself. It's a kind of healing that addresses not just what happened to these children, but their entire relationship with existence. This approach leads to the establishment of the Life Connection program at St. Michael's, designed to help patients rediscover their place in the natural world as part of their healing process. Shadow demonstrates how this reconnection can activate healing responses that conventional medicine can't access, leading to recoveries that defy medical explanation. The program proves particularly effective with chronic conditions that have resisted traditional treatment. Patients who participate in the Life Connection sessions show remarkable improvements, not just in their physical symptoms, but in their overall well-being. Many report a profound shift in how they understand their own healing journey. As spring progresses, Shadow's behavior suggests preparation for another transition. The dog begins spending more time with individual members of the therapy team, seemingly imparting final lessons that only now can be fully understood. Each session feels like a piece of a larger puzzle being completed, a wisdom map being finalized. One morning, Shadow leads the entire hospital staff to the courtyard where the healing journey began. There, in the early dawn light, the dog orchestrates what can only be described as a ceremony of continuation. Each therapy dog takes its place in a complex pattern, while human participants find themselves guided to specific positions. The energy in the courtyard becomes palpable, as if Shadow is conducting a symphony of healing intention. Dr. Morrison, monitoring the event with sensitive equipment, records something unprecedented. The energy field created by this gathering shows patterns that match ancient healing symbols found in cultures worldwide, he reports. It's as if Shadow is showing us that all healing wisdom throughout human history comes from the same source. The ceremony concludes with something remarkable. Each therapy dog demonstrates an advanced understanding of healing that goes beyond their previous training. It becomes clear that Shadow has completed the transmission of wisdom, ensuring that the healing mission will continue through multiple generations of both human and animal healers. Marcus, watching this unfold, understands that this isn't an ending, but a transformation. Shadow has shown us that love's mission to heal never really ends, he tells Elena. It just finds new forms, new expressions, new ways to remind us of our connection to all life. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of extraordinary healing or revolutionary medical practices. It evolves into a testament to the eternal nature of love's healing mission, a reminder that wisdom never truly dies, but is continuously reborn in new forms. Shadow's legacy lives on, not just in the protocols established or the lives saved, but in the profound understanding that healing is a language spoken by all of creation, waiting only for humans to remember how to hear it. On a perfect spring morning, exactly 1 year after Shadow first appeared at St. Michael's Hospital, the final chapter of this extraordinary story begins to unfold. The day starts with an unexpected gathering in the hospital's courtyard, where Shadow has assembled the entire therapy dog team, medical staff, and recovered patients. What transpires in these precious moments will reveal the true meaning of Shadow's journey and leave an indelible mark on everyone present. The morning light bathes the courtyard in a golden glow as Shadow moves among the gathered crowd, touching each person and dog with a gentle presence that seems to carry a message of completion. Dr. Chen, watching this farewell ceremony, realizes that Shadow isn't just saying goodbye. The dog is showing them how to carry the mission forward. "Look at how each interaction is different," Dr. Morrison observes, documenting the scene. Shadow is giving each participant exactly what they need to continue their part of the healing work. It's not an ending, it's a transmission of purpose. The truth of his words becomes clear as the ceremony unfolds, revealing layers of meaning that will resonate for years to come. Marcus, standing with Elena, watches as Shadow approaches each member of the therapy dog team. With each interaction, the dogs seem to gain a new level of understanding, their eyes lighting up with the same wisdom that has guided Shadow's mission. They're ready, Marcus realizes. Shadow has prepared them to carry on independently, each with their own unique contribution to the healing work. The breakthrough moment comes when Shadow leads everyone to the hospital's newly established healing garden, a space designed according to the dog's guidance over the past year. There, in a moment that takes everyone's breath away, Shadow demonstrates the culmination of everything that has been taught. The dog begins moving in a pattern that the therapy team instantly recognizes and follows, creating a living mandala of healing energy. As they move, each dog's unique abilities synchronize with the others, forming what Dr. Chen later describes as a symphony of healing presence. The human participants find themselves naturally drawn into specific positions, completing a pattern. that seems to pulse with purpose. Dr. Morrison's instruments record something extraordinary during this demonstration. The energy field created by this configuration matches the healing frequencies we've documented in our most successful cases, he reports. Shadow is showing us how to maintain and recreate these optimal healing conditions even after departure. The garden ceremony leads to another revelation. Young patients who have recovered under Shadow's care begin sharing their experiences, describing how their understanding of healing has transformed. It's not just about getting better, 12-year-old Sarah explains, her once paralyzed legs now strong beneath her. Shadow taught us that healing is about remembering who we really are and how connected we are to everything. This wisdom becomes the foundation for St. Michael's new approach to patient care. The hospital establishes the Shadow Foundation, dedicated to integrating the principles of conscious healing with modern medicine. The program emphasizes the importance of treating not just physical symptoms, but the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Elena, documenting these final developments, notices something profound about the way Shadow interacts with the children. The dog is showing them that they carry healing wisdom within themselves, she writes. Each child becomes a tiny lighthouse, capable of sharing their understanding with others who are struggling. The impact of this approach becomes clear when a group of former patients starts a peer support network. These Shadow's ambassadors, as they come to be known, help other patients understand and participate in their own healing journey. Their effectiveness proves that Shadow's teachings can be passed on through human hearts as well as canine ones. Marcus, watching these children share their wisdom, understands that this is part of Scout's legacy too. Scout saved lives directly, he reflects. Shadow has taught us all to become healers in our own way. The mission hasn't ended, it's multiplied. This understanding helps him accept what he knows is coming, recognizing that Shadow's physical presence, like Scout's, was always meant to be temporary. As the morning progresses, Shadow leads the gathering to the hospital's main entrance, the same doors where the dog first appeared a year ago. There, in a moment that brings tears to every eye, Shadow demonstrates one final lesson. The dog moves from person to person, dog to dog, creating connections that feel tangible in their strength. Dr. Chen, observing this last teaching, realizes its significance. Shadow is showing us that true healing isn't dependent on any individual, she explains. It's about creating networks of support and understanding that can continue to grow and adapt. This lesson becomes the cornerstone of St. Michael's ongoing mission. The therapy dogs demonstrate their understanding by forming a circle around Shadow, each one displaying the unique gifts they've developed over the past year. Haven shows her talent for emotional healing, Vector his skill at detecting illness, Luna her ability to comfort the dying, and Atlas his gift for supporting recovery. Together they create a living demonstration of how Shadow's work will continue. Young Miguel, the janitor whose natural healing abilities were recognized and developed under Shadow's guidance, steps forward to share his perspective. Shadow taught us that healing wisdom doesn't belong to any one person or profession, he says. It belongs to anyone willing to listen with their heart and serve with their whole being. His words capture the essence of Shadow's final teaching, that healing is not a specialized skill reserved for a few, but a natural capacity within all living beings. The hospital's new training programs reflect this understanding, teaching everyone from surgeons to volunteers how to access and develop their innate healing abilities. As the sun reaches its zenith, Shadow's behavior suggests the time of transition has arrived. The dog makes one final round of the hospital, visiting each department, each patient, each staff member who has been part of this extraordinary journey. But instead of sadness, these farewells feel like affirmations, promises that the work will continue, that the healing will go on. Marcus, kneeling beside Shadow in the courtyard where their journey together began, sees in those wise eyes the same promise he once saw in Scouts. "You completed her mission," he whispers, "and you've taught us how to continue it." Shadow's response is a look of such pure love and certainty that no one present can doubt that this is a beginning rather than an end. Dr. Morrison's final research paper on Shadow's time at St. Michael's concludes with an observation that captures the heart of this story. What we witnessed wasn't just the work of one extraordinary dog, but the awakening of healing wisdom that exists in all of us. Shadow showed us that true healing is an eternal flame, passed from heart to heart, transcending species and time. As afternoon light fills the courtyard, Shadow takes one last look at the gathering, the therapy dogs standing proud and capable, the medical staff transformed by deeper understanding, the patients carrying their own light of healing wisdom. Then, with the same mysterious grace that marked that first arrival, Shadow departs, leaving behind not an absence, but a presence that will continue to guide and inspire. The story of Shadow and St. Michael's becomes more than a tale of miraculous healing or revolutionary medical practices. It evolves into a testament to the enduring nature of love's mission to heal, a reminder that wisdom never truly leaves us. It simply waits for us to rediscover it in new forms, through new teachers. In each moment, we choose to serve life with an open heart. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.